Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Podcast English Class.
Hi, Mike. It's great to be back with you today.
I have to ask, have you ever been somewhere new, your phone suddenly died, and you realized you had no idea where you were?
That exact thing happened to Mike yesterday. He wanted something simple, fresh bread, but ended up walking in circles and asking strangers for help.
And honestly, it wasn't my English that was hard, it was understanding the directions.
If that sounds familiar, today's episode is for you.
So let us ask you, have you ever felt lost while using English in real life?
Stay with us. We'll make it simple, practical, and confidence-building, step by step.
You know, when I think back to yesterday, I realized something interesting. Getting lost wasn't just inconvenient. It was uncomfortable in a very specific way.
Uncomfortable how?
It was that moment when English suddenly stopped being an exercise and became real life. I wasn't listening to a podcast or practicing at home. I had to understand someone right now.
That pressure can feel heavy, especially for English learners.
Exactly. And I think many learners believe that feeling means they're bad at English.
But it doesn't. It actually means the opposite. It means you're using English in the real world.
That's such an important shift. When you're lost, your brain goes into problem-solving mode. You're not thinking about perfect sentences, you're thinking, how do I survive this moment?
And that's when real language learning happens.
Yes, even though I felt awkward asking for help, I noticed something. People were patient. They wanted to help.
That's something many learners forget. Most people aren't judging your English. They're listening for meaning.
I also realized that being lost forced me to listen more carefully than usual.
Because suddenly, every word matters.
Right. When someone said straight ahead or turn left, I wasn't just hearing vocabulary, I was depending on it.
And that kind of learning sticks. You're much more likely to remember those words later.
Definitely. I still remember exactly where I was standing when I heard them.
That's why getting lost isn't a failure. It's an experience.
I wish I had known that earlier. I spent so much time trying to avoid mistakes.
Many learners do. They wait until they feel ready.
But the truth is, you often feel ready only after you try.
And after you make a few small mistakes.
Yesterday, I smiled, nodded, and didn't understand everything. And that was okay.
It was more than okay. You stayed in the conversation.
And each time I asked someone new, I felt a little less nervous.
That's confidence growing, even if you don't notice it immediately.
So if you're listening right now and thinking, I hate feeling lost in English, I get it.
But maybe we can reframe that feeling.
Maybe being lost is a sign that you're moving forward?
Exactly. It means English is no longer just a subject, it's part of your life.
And once you accept that, learning becomes less scary.
It becomes human.
So let's keep going. Because now that we understand the feeling, it's time to talk about the language itself. Okay, now that we've talked about the feeling of being lost, let's get practical. Because in that moment, the first thing you need is a way to start the conversation.
Yes. And the good news is, you don't need fancy English to do that.
Honestly, yesterday, I didn't have time to think about grammar. I just needed someone to understand me.
And that's exactly why simple, polite phrases work best.
The first thing I said every time was, "Excuse me."
That's perfect. Excuse me is like a small door opener in English. It tells the other person you're being polite and respectful.
And it gave me a second to breathe before asking my question.
That pause matters. After that, the most natural question is, how do I get to?
Right. How do I get to the bakery? Simple, clear, no stress.
Exactly. You don't need to explain your whole situation. Just name the place.
I used to think I needed longer sentences, like explaining why I was lost.
Many learners think that. But in real life, shorter is better.
What if someone wants to sound a bit more polite or formal?
Then you can say, could you point me to? It sounds slightly softer, especially with strangers.
I like that. It feels calm and respectful.
Both phrases are completely natural. You can choose the one that feels easier for you.
That's important. Choosing what feels comfortable, not what sounds perfect.
Exactly. Comfort leads to confidence.
Another thing I noticed is that people usually respond right away once they understand the place name.
Yes, because your question is clear. That's the goal.
And if you're not sure how to pronounce the place, it's okay to try anyway.
Absolutely. Even if your pronunciation isn't perfect, people often understand from context.
I also realized that eye contact and a friendly tone helped a lot.
Communication isn't only about words. Your body language matters too.
So if you're listening and feeling nervous, remember this. You only need one sentence to begin.
Excuse me, how do I get to? That's enough.
Once you start, the conversation usually flows naturally.
And that first step, asking, is already a win.
Now that we know how to ask, there's another question that can save us a lot of trouble.
Yes. Before you start walking, you should find out how far the place really is.
Yes, this is the part I really wish I had done better yesterday.
Asking how far the place is?
Exactly. I asked how to get there, but I didn't ask what kind of walk I was about to take.
That's such a common mistake. Many learners think once they have directions, they're done.
But directions alone don't tell you how much energy or patience you'll need.
Right? That's why a simple follow-up question can make a huge difference.
The question is it far from here?
Yes, short, clear, and very natural.
Yesterday, when I finally asked that, the answer was, oh, not far.
And that sounds comforting, but it's also very unclear.
Exactly. Not far turned out to mean 15 minutes for me.
That happens because people have very different ideas about distance.
Some people walk fast. Some people enjoy walking. Some people forget you're carrying a bag.
That's why it helps to ask one more question.
How many minutes roughly?
Perfect. The word roughly is very useful here.
I love that word now. It feels honest.
Yes, because roughly means approximately, not exact, but close.
So if someone says roughly 10 minutes, I know it could be 8 or 12.
Exactly. It prepares you mentally.
And I noticed something else. In English, people talk about time more than distance.
That's right. Instead of saying 1 kilometer, people usually say a 10-minute walk.
That felt strange to me at first.
But it's actually more practical. Time is easier to imagine than numbers.
True. I can picture 10 minutes much better than 800 meters.
And if someone says it's about 20 minutes on foot, you can decide right away if you want to walk.
Or if it's time to look for a bus or a taxi.
Exactly. These questions help you make choices, not just follow directions.
I also realize it's okay to ask twice if you're unsure.
Of course. You're not being rude. You're being careful.
So now my routine is clear. First, but how do I get to,
Then, is it far from here?
and if needed, how many minutes roughly?
With just those questions, you already sound confident and practical.
And much less likely to walk in circles.
Exactly. And now that we know how far we're going, the next challenge is understanding the directions themselves.
Yes, this is where things really started to fall apart for me yesterday.
Understanding the directions themselves?
Exactly. I knew how far I was going, but once the person started talking, my brain just froze.
That happens so often. Directions can come very fast.
She said something like, go straight ahead, then turn left, then go past the cafe. And I remember thinking, wait, slow down.
That's why it helps to recognize the most common direction words. Once you know them, everything sounds clearer.
I actually remember one specific moment.
Oh,
A woman told me, go straight ahead for 2 blocks. And I stopped walking because I didn't know what a block was. I just smiled and nodded, even though I was completely lost. After walking for a while, I realized I had passed way too far.
that's such a real experience. And so many learners do the same thing.
That's why straight ahead is such an important phrase to understand.
Yes. Go straight ahead means keep moving forward. Don't turn left, don't turn right. Just continue in the same direction.
No decisions yet, just walk.
Exactly.
And now I know that a block is the distance between 2 streets.
Right. So if someone says walk 2 blocks, you pass 2 streets.
That one word makes a huge difference.
It really does.
Another phrase I heard a lot was around the corner.
That usually means very close, just 1 turn away.
I used to think it meant a long walk around something.
Many learners think that at first.
I also heard next to and across from.
Those are location words. Next to means right beside something.
Like the cafe is next to the bank.
Exactly. And across from means on the opposite side of the street.
So I need to cross the road.
Yes.
One phrase I finally understood near the end was go past.
Go past means you walk beyond a place without stopping.
So the place is a reference point, not the destination.
That's right.
I wish I had focused on these key words instead of trying to understand every sentence.
That's the key lesson. You don't need every word, just the direction words.
Once I started listening for them, I felt much calmer.
And calmer listening always leads to better understanding.
Exactly. And now that we understand these words, it becomes much easier to picture where things are.
Yes, these are the words that help you see the place in your mind.
And honestly, once I understood them, direction stopped feeling like a puzzle.
Exactly. Location words turn instructions into a picture.
The ones I heard most were next to, across from, and around the corner.
Let's start with next to. It's very simple. It means right beside something.
So if someone says the pharmacy is next to the supermarket, they're touching or very close.
Right. You don't need to search far. Just look beside the supermarket.
That word feels friendly. It doesn't stress me out.
I agree. It's clear and comforting.
Now, across from took me a bit longer to get used to.
That one means on the opposite side of the street.
So if I'm standing in front of a bookstore and the cafe is across from it, I need to cross the road.
Exactly. It's not far, just on the other side.
I notice people use this phrase a lot.
They do, especially in cities.
And then there's around the corner.
A very popular phrase, and sometimes confusing.
I used to think it meant walking a long way around a building.
Many learners think that, but most of the time it means very close.
Just one turn away.
Yes, you turn once, and you'll probably see it.
When someone told me it's just around the corner, I finally relaxed.
Because it sounds easy.
Exactly.
Another phrase that helps is on the left or on the right.
Simple but very important.
Very. People often say, it's on your left, after you turn.
That your matters.
Yes, because it's your left, not theirs.
I've made that mistake before.
Many people have.
What I like about these location words is that they don't require perfect English.
That's true. Even if you only understand a few of them, you can usually find the place.
I started listening for just these words and ignoring the rest.
And that's a smart strategy.
It made directions feel slower and clearer.
Because now you're building a mental map, not translating every sentence.
So if you're listening, try this. Next time someone gives you directions, focus on location words.
Next to, across from, around the corner, on the left, on the right.
Those words will guide you more than long explanations.
And once you have that picture in your head, you're much less likely to feel lost.
Exactly. And now that we can picture where things are, there's another kind of phrase that often appears in directions, and it can change everything if you don't understand it. Yes, this is the moment I struggled with the most. Even with landmarks, there were times I just didn't understand.
And that's completely normal. Not understanding doesn't mean the conversation is over.
I used to think if I didn't understand the first time, I had failed.
Many learners think that, but real conversations don't work like that.
Yesterday, one person explained everything very quickly, and I just froze.
That's when repair strategies become important.
Repair strategies?
Yes, simple phrases that help you fix the conversation when something goes wrong.
Like asking them to repeat?
Exactly. You can say, I'm sorry, could you repeat that please?
That sounds polite and calm.
It is, and people usually respond kindly.
I also heard you can say, I didn't catch that.
Yes. In this context, catch means understand.
So I could say, sorry, I didn't catch that. Could you say it again?
Perfect. Very natural English.
What if they repeat it, but I still don't understand?
Then you can ask them to slow down. You might say, could you speak a little more slowly?
I always feel nervous asking that.
I know, but it's okay. You're not being rude. You're being clear.
That's a good way to think about it.
Another helpful strategy is to ask for clarification.
What does that sound like?
You can say, what does that mean? Or, where is that exactly?
Simple questions.
Yes, Simple questions keep the conversation moving.
I noticed that when I asked questions, people often changed how they explained things.
That's right. They might use simpler words or point to something nearby.
Pointing helped me a lot.
Visual help is very common when giving directions.
So the key is not to pretend I understand when I don't.
Exactly. Pretending usually leads to more confusion later.
And more walking in the wrong direction?
Yes, asking questions early saves time and energy.
I like that these phrases don't require advanced English.
That's the beauty of them. They work at any level.
So if you're listening right now, remember this. Getting confused is part of the process.
And you have tools to handle that confusion politely and confidently.
Repair strategies turn a difficult moment into a manageable one.
And once you're comfortable using them, conversations feel much less scary.
Next, we should talk about something related. What happens when you're the one giving directions to someone else? After yesterday, I started thinking about the other side of the situation.
You mean giving directions instead of asking for them?
Exactly, because sometimes a tourist or a stranger asks you for help.
And that can feel stressful, especially if you're not confident in English yet.
Yes, I've had moments where someone asked me for directions and I wanted to help, but my words got messy.
That's very common. The key to giving directions well is not saying everything you know.
That sounds surprising.
It means keeping things simple. Too much information can confuse the listener.
I've definitely done that before. Long explanations, lots of turns.
Most of us have. But in real life, clear directions come in small steps.
So instead of giving 5 steps at once, I should give 1 or 2.
Exactly. For example, you can say, go straight ahead for 2 blocks, then turn left.
And then stop.
Yes, you can add the next step after that.
That makes it easier for the other person to follow.
And it makes you sound calmer and more confident.
Another thing I noticed is that street names aren't always helpful.
That's true. Many people don't remember street names when they're walking.
So landmarks are better.
Much better. Saying turn left at the supermarket is clearer than saying a street name.
Because the person can see it.
Exactly. Visibility matters.
What if the place is really close?
Then you can say, it's just around the corner, or it's right across from here.
And if it's far?
Be honest. Say something like, it's quite far, about 20 minutes on foot.
That feels more respectful than saying, oh, it's close, and when it's not.
Definitely. Honesty builds trust.
What if I'm not sure about the directions myself?
Then it's okay to say, I'm sorry, I'm not sure.
That used to feel embarrassing to me.
But it's better than giving wrong directions.
True. Sending someone the wrong way feels worse.
And you can always suggest asking someone else nearby.
I like that. It feels helpful even if I don't know the answer.
Exactly. Helping doesn't always mean having the answer.
So giving directions isn't about perfect English.
It's about clarity, kindness, and keeping things simple.
And when you do that, people really appreciate it.
They do. And next, we'll look at how culture can change the way people give and understand directions.
I'm glad we're talking about this next because something else surprised me yesterday.
Cultural differences?
Exactly. The way people give directions isn't the same everywhere.
That's such an important point. Many misunderstandings come from culture, not language level.
I noticed that in English, people rarely use north, south, east, or west.
Yes, in everyday situations, those compass directions aren't very common.
That surprised me because in some countries, people use them all the time.
Right. In many English-speaking places, people prefer left, right, and landmarks.
Turn left at the bank instead of go east.
Exactly. It's more visual and practical.
Another thing I noticed is how often people talk about time.
Yes, time instead of distance.
People said things like, it's a 10-minute walk, not it's 800 meters.
That's very typical. Time feels more human than numbers.
But that can also be confusing.
True, because 10 minutes for one person might feel like 20 for another.
Especially if you're tired or carrying bags.
Exactly. That's why we talked earlier about asking follow-up questions.
I also wondered about body language.
Good point. Pointing is often used when giving directions.
And that's usually okay, right?
Yes, pointing at streets or buildings is normal.
But pointing at people feels uncomfortable.
In many cultures, yes, it can feel rude.
I notice people often point and talk at the same time.
They do. Watching their hands can help you understand better.
So listening isn't just about ears, it's about eyes too.
Exactly. Directions are very physical.
Another cultural thing I noticed is how confident people sound even when they're not sure.
That's true. Some people speak confidently, even if the directions aren't perfect.
Which means it's okay to double check.
Absolutely. Asking again is not rude.
So if you're listening and you feel confused, remember, it might not be your English.
It might just be a cultural difference in how directions are given.
And once you understand that, it's easier not to blame yourself.
Exactly. Awareness makes communication kinder to yourself and to others.
And now that we've talked about skills, strategies, and culture, it's time to bring everything together. So when I look back on everything we've talked about today, I realize something important.
What's that?
Asking for directions isn't really about directions. It's about staying calm when English becomes real life.
Yes, it's about trusting yourself enough to speak, even when you're unsure.
We talked about asking politely, checking distance, listening for keywords, and using landmarks.
And also about speaking up when you don't understand.
All of those skills connect to one bigger idea.
That communication doesn't have to be perfect to be successful.
Yesterday, I didn't understand everything people told me,
But you kept asking, listening, and moving forward.
and that's what matters.
Many learners think confidence comes before action.
But usually it's the other way around.
Confidence grows because you act.
Even small actions like saying, "Excuse me," can change how you feel about your English.
And once you have one small success, the next one feels easier.
That's why we hope you don't avoid these moments.
Getting lost, asking questions, misunderstanding something, these are not failures.
They're part of learning,
And they're moments you'll remember.
because real experiences stay with you longer than exercises.
So next time you're in a new place and you feel that familiar nervous feeling,
Take a breath.
be polite.
Ask your question.
And trust that it's okay not to understand everything right away.
You're learning in the real world, and that's powerful.
Before we finish, we want to leave you with one small thought.
English doesn't need to feel safe all the time.
It just needs to feel possible.
A listener once told us she avoided asking for directions for years because she was afraid of making mistakes. One day, she finally asked a stranger for help, understood only half of the answer, and still found the place. Later that evening, she said she felt proud. Not because her English was perfect, but because she didn't give up. Her English was...
And that's the feeling we hope you take with you today.
If this episode reminded you of a moment like that, you're not alone.
Share your experience with us, or simply keep it in mind next time you use English outside.
We're learning together, one real moment at a time.
See you in the next episode.